Well, I waited all weekend to do it today in Tarkov because I wanted to see how this whole data mine show settled out. And it ended up working out anyways because we got another event this morning, Monday morning, that now I can update you guys all in one video about. So let's get you all the needed info, not waste any time, get you everything that's happened in Tarkov over the last week. So first up is the event. We got a clip on Twitter. Nothing too crazy. Some spooky audio, a flickering TV. You can see it right here. You can see the tweet. It honestly kind of gave me some Halloween vibes, but it's June. And like the last two events, we got a task with it. This time it's from Mechanic. It's called Failed Setup. And it's kill 30 cultists, eliminate the group responsible for the marked circles. The mechanic says, well, hello there, come in, there's something I need you to do. An unpleasant situation has arisen. As you know, my little hobby is in demand among the remaining residents of this great city, but here's the trouble. One of the rifles I assembled fell into the wrong hands and ended up in the hands of those who draw those circles around town. Skaz found it in one of the circles and accused me of supplying the creeps with weapons. I don't need that kind of complaint. Do the job, cut through the ranks of these artists, and I'll make sure to find a decent reward. And another thing, try not to harm scavs. Enough trouble with them as it is. So that last little bit's important because that means if you kill a scav while doing this, it resets the task for you. Now this task unlocks the ability to buy the AK underbarrel GL, its grenades, and the M4, the M203 underbarrel grenade launcher, along with the M386 HE grenades. What it does is you can buy 2 of each of the GLs from Mechanic for 45,000, 2 of the 203s from Mechanic for 55,000 per reset too, and then 10 of each of the grenades become unlocked for a decent price. 15,000 for the Vogs, and I believe it was 12 or 13,000 for the M386s, which is a lot cheaper than they are on the Flea. So if you get the task done, there you go. Now with this task, cultists are 100% spawn rate. They are going to be on their normal maps at their normal times, but they are 100% spawn rate for those wondering about it. Now for a little bit more information, if you want to see it yourself, you can hop over to the wiki, just type in cultists, go to their specific page. Cultists spawn between 2200 and 7. They're on factory. There's 3 or 4 of them now. For this event, I believe it's 3 cultists and the boss, the sextant, and the Shrek on customs. They spawn around mechanics, which let's go to the full-size image here so you can see it. They spawn around mechanics, which is the building here by Crack House and Warehouse 17. But I have seen them all through here, including in Fort or Alamo, as we call it. So be cautious of that. As far as on woods, they spawn in the area of the mark circle. So they spawn here in between here and checkpoint, as well as the sunken village. You can see them there on woods as well. Shoreline, they will spawn at the Scav Rock here on your way to Path of Lighthouse, or along Spine in this general area, as well as inside Resort itself. So that is where you will find cultists. Now, as an important note, I want to remind everybody, Augmentin no longer stops toxin. It no longer removes toxin. It's still selling as if it is. Everybody's acting like it still does. But as you can see, there is no longer a remove toxin. It removes pain and hits your energy and hydration, but that's it. If you want to remove toxin, you need to use the XTG12, which is specifically what it's for. It doesn't have the whole remove toxin thing on here, but it says antidote. It lasts for 60 seconds, so even if they stab you again with it on, it keeps it from happening, or if you hit it too soon or whatever, it will stop the toxin. The Blue Bud also has antidote on there, so it will stop the cultists' poison as well. So both of them are pretty pricey. The XTG is like 250k, and the perfs I think are like 130, 150k. So that's what you have to use. Or when you're getting out of raid, Therapist will remove it in her end of raid healing screen for it's pretty expensive. I say pretty expensive, 25-30,000 rubles, whatever it is. It's not cheap. But with that out of the way, let's get on to the shit show that was earlier this week. So what we got was BSG reiterated and expanded on their policy towards data mining. Long story short, data mining is bad. If you do it, you risk getting abandoned game. If you distribute it, you risk abandoned game. And now what they expanded on is if you are a content creator who disperses this information, not only do you risk just abandoning the game, but they might take actions against you on your various platforms, whether that be YouTube, Twitch, whatever. So what does this mean? It means you're probably not going to be seeing data mined info on most YouTubers' videos, including mine. I can't speak for the others. I know they've put their own statements out. Go, like, if you want to know what One Peg or Nice Guy or whatever are going to be do, go talk to them, or go watch their videos. But I'm not going to be even mentioning data mined info on my channel anymore. Now, there is a legitimate and huge question as to what info is data mined. There are a lot of questions about the wiki and the information on there being safe. So let's focus on that a little bit. Pretty much anything on the wiki is safe. You can talk about it. The BSG considers it an official wiki, and those guys work directly with BSG on information that is allowed and not allowed. Now, some of it is technically data mined. The weapon information, even though BSG has released the bullet stats and stuff like that, that information is data mined, but BSG is okay with that. Same thing with some of the armor stuff and some of the other stats that are just obtuse in the game. BSG's okay with that kind of stuff. What primarily they're not okay with is things like boss spawn rates or any kind of loot spawn rates, or, you know, spoiling hidden rewards on quests, things like that. So you can say that's not fair. You can say it's stupid. That's totally fine. I have no qualms with people who have issues with that, but it is what it is. This is BSG's game. They get to set the rules. We can choose to not like them and not participate or bitch and moan, but that's about it. BSG gets to determine what they're okay with and what they're not. So what did this lead to? Short picture, it led to a very short-lived ban of Logical Solutions, and then an unbanned like a day later. Now, he's important if you don't know who he is, because he's pretty much the primary source of all data mined info out there. While he very clearly states that he does not data mine the info, he is the purveyor, the distributor, however you want to call it. He puts the information out through his various utility sites, bots, all that kind of stuff. And this is where the drama pretty much starts, which I'm not going to get into it because I really just don't give a shit about the drama. This all stemmed from what looks like and it's, I guess it's pretty clear. Nikita tweeted out a message from Logic's Discord where he was wanting to dig on information about the ETS, which is the test server. And that's a big deal because the ETS has all of its info embargoed on NDA. You're not even supposed to talk about it. It's kind of like Fight Club. If you're in the ETS, you can't even talk about being in the ETS unless you're in their special Discord or talking with somebody else in the ETS about it. And then on top of that, he apparently shared some information on his stream about data mining info, though it was old and known. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. This was shared on Twitter or screenshots. I'll put those up so you guys can see them. But beyond that, that's about as much into it as I want to get. And as far as where we sit right now, I don't know. Logic isn't shutting down his project or services, though. This last event we had, he didn't say anything about spawn rates or the quest rewards, which they weren't hidden, but he didn't say anything about spawn rates or anything like that, which he usually does. So maybe he's dialing it back. I'm not sure. And BSG hasn't said a word about the ban, the unban, or changing any of their stances. So I guess we kind of know where they're at, but we kind of don't because of the ban and the unban. Now, as far as your average gamer, you're probably still going to be able to find most of this information. Even if BSG really starts to turn the screws on people and really starts to tighten the stuff up, they can't stop everybody. You can't completely remove this stuff. And that's why most big studios don't even bother anymore. They just let people data mine, and it is what it is. On top of that, I don't believe they have the ability to shut down Logic's website. I could be wrong about that. It's kind of out of my expertise. But you're still going to have Discords, potentially some YouTubers that are going to push the boundaries. And my point is that if you really like this info, it doesn't matter what BSG does, you're still going to be able to find it. And for whatever reason, many of them, surprises and secrets are big on BSG's priority list, specifically Nikita's. You can agree or disagree, but that doesn't matter that much. They, and pretty much Nikita, gets to do what they want, and we're just pretty much here along for the ride. Now, my opinion for all this, again, like I said, I really don't give a shit. I'm just here to play the game, make some guides for you guys, try to provide some entertainment, maybe some laughs here and there. I think BSG and Logic have both made a fucking mess of this and made it worse. And that's, I don't know what else to say about that. It's turned into a rhetorical food fight in the community. So I'm just going to leave the dining room. I will address some of the potentially dumbass comments I know I'm going to get about this, about, you know, will you use Logic stuff or this, that, and the other. And yes, I kept up with Logic stuff because it's kind of the gig. I like to keep people informed. I like to stay ahead of the curve. I like to people to not have bad opinions or bad information because they misread it or they got a bad source. So that involves me staying plugged in with as much of everything as I can. But to be honest, personally, I don't like data mined info. It's not like I think that people do it or wrong. It's just personally, I don't want it. I want to be surprised. I like that sense of adventure and exploration in games. Moments like the very first airdrop we had in Tarkov, I was one of the lucky guys that was in raid when the very first airdrops happened all at the same time. And I thought it was somebody spamming VoIP at first, trying to come kill me. It scared the shit out of me. And it was awesome to watch it happen for the first time and have it unexpected. And this was only possible because BSG was able to hide the files to the degree that the data miners couldn't find them or didn't notice them, whatever it was. Because I guarantee you that, and it might not have been logic, but somebody, if they had found those files, it would have been blasted all over the place because people are chasing the next thing and the most attention, and that would have got it. And for me, you know, if they change Reshala spawn from 5% to 10% or to 30% or 100% on any given day, it doesn't really matter that much, because if I need Reshala, I'm going to be running customs. It's just how often do I got to roll the dice before I find him? But one big problem is what I want versus what I get. I'm a streamer. It doesn't matter if I don't look at the information or not. Somebody's going to end up in my stream talking about it. It's just part of the job. I've always avoided spoilers about quest rewards or any of that kind of stuff. But from the 5 or 10 minutes of firing up my stream, there's somebody in there asking questions about it. Not even trying to be a dickhead or anything, which there's those too, but people just with genuine questions because they looked at something they don't understand. And honestly, my biggest qualm with this whole thing is with how BSG approaches things. They leave a lot of gray area in a lot of the decisions they do. And they do this because it gives them wiggle room. I understand why they do it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean I have to support it, but it also doesn't mean that I have to freak out about it. Just because I'm not treating this whole data mine shit show like it's the next civil rights movement doesn't make me some kind of BSG shill. Though anybody who calls me that, I know I'm not going to change their mind anyways. I've said it in the past. I'll say it again. I'm not going to change the way BSG does things or how they do stuff. I don't have that power. So I'm not going to waste any energy trying to do it. I'm going to worry about what I can control, which is my content and my honestly, my day-to-day emotions. Now, last thing, let's move on to something positive. Though it does seem a little contrived because of the timing. Saturday morning, again, in the middle of all of this nonsense going on, Nikita tweeted out EFT API, 6 letters in a space. Nothing more than that. There is no lead up to this. There isn't a lot of context with it. It's never been discussed before, at least not on a great deal that I'm aware of. And as far as I know, nobody's has been expecting BSG or Nikita to open up the API. Not because it's all part of it. Of course, Logic is in here saying he's all in, which I know he's working on tons of projects for it, which is cool, tools and things like that. And then Nikita responds. So this is where the contrived spot comes to this. This is the kind of shit that I can't fucking stand, these stupid games. It is what it is, but for me, it is a big deal. I have had the desire and done a little bit of work about creating a Tarkov hideout app for your phone, one that would allow you to craft and stuff like that, and done a little bit of legwork with it, but it was kind of pointless to go any farther than that because without access to the API, you just can't do anything. Now, I'm not going to do a lesson on what API is. I'll give you a crayon version either. Basically, it's a system, a way that one program can interact with the game. So the API is what would allow an app for you to control your hideout. For example, Battle Buddy, it uses the API. And I don't know the whole story about how Battle Buddy got access and has access, but that's how it updates the stats, the bullets, the armor, all that stuff. It does it through the API. And this is all 100% speculation at this point. Again, I'm super hopeful. It would be awesome. I would love to be able to develop an app for the community for the hideout. And I know I'm not the only one. There's lots of people out there. There would be more tools for Tarkov in a matter of weeks if they released the API than people would know what to do with. And I think that would be a great thing for the community. It also might lift some of the burden off of battle state games for them. They don't have to focus on some of this stuff when the community's putting it together for them. But again, a lot of this is still a pipe dream in my mind. I could be dead wrong, but I just do not see BSG giving the community access to the API at the level you would need to put a lot of these apps together, whether you pay for it or not. And that's just because it's a pretty high level of access that you need to be able to do some of these apps. But that's pretty much it for the week. Got you guys caught up. Appreciate you hanging around and listening this long. It's kind of a longer video than we normally do, but there was a lot of details to cover and specific things to get into. Quick shout out for my music, as well as the usual call to actions about liking and subbing. Make sure you're doing that. But my music, free for everybody to listen to on Spotify. It supports me as a content creator. It's my music, which means I can offer it to content creators to use on their Twitch channels and when they're streaming, and their YouTube content without the fear of DMCA copyright strikes. All we ask is that you attribute us in the descriptions and you're good to go. You got 160 songs that you can listen to, several hours. Pretty hard to burn through all of it. It's what I listen to every day. You guys are more than welcome to it. But we'll wrap her up there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have some good luck in your raids hunting cultists, and we'll see you in Tarkov.